What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and I do have a new song out recently called Just Kids, so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. Okay, guys, there's a lot of talk about Cinder lately. I should say I'm the one that's been talking a lot about Cinder lately, and I have yet another idea in which I think we could implement it just because we've seen such a significant impact from it being introduced into the game so far, and we're less than a week in. So my thought here is that Cinder should be something that you can pay for the wild season permit in, and the reason I think we should do that, well, there's a couple, but let me get into the backdrop for this first. As it stands, what Cinder is doing is essentially removing not DEC, but potential DEC off of the market, right? Because you can only burn cards that could be burned for DEC from the marketplace, or from the market. So, or just from circulation, I should say. So, in this way, right, I think it's actually not a bad idea for us to accept both DEC for the wild season permit as well as for and this is an argument that I'm going to make kind of in the future, but I think survival mode should also have a wild season permit. Now, I've said this before. I think the wild season permit should apply to both survival mode and wild, so that therefore, like, if you buy one, you get access to both, right? Because this will then start to have an impact on other things where cards and DEC are tied in one way, and it's the burn value, right? And again, I'm talking about cards that have DEC burn value. Things like reward cards or gladiators or other things like that. You can burn them for other things like glint or what's that called, or merits, right? So there's other ways in which it's not all cards, but the cards that can be burned for DEC, which are the ones you can generally buy, right? So the cards that come in packs, those are the ones that create this potential for literally unlimited inflationary DEC. Now, the big reason that I think that this should be implemented, and not that we're struggling with this right now, just because I think the impact that Cinder has already made has been quite significant in the sense where people are burning cards. We've seen the floor prices rise, but because of that relationship, if I'm understanding this correctly, somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm understanding it correctly, the relationship between cards and DEC, if you were to price the wild season permit in Cinder as well, right? So people have an option to pay with credits, DEC, or Cinder. We could essentially remove the chances, or we not remove, but I should say, we would significantly lower the chances of cards trading below their burn value ever again, right? In perpetuity, because there would be a way in which people could go in and get that value through something, right, that would be better than them burning the cards for DEC. So if I'm understanding that relationship correctly, which I think I am, but please correct me if I'm wrong. In that way, we are now starting to protect the card values above burn value, right? We've seen them so many times in the past do that when we have massive excesses. And maybe somebody's going to say okay, this is kind of a moot point now because we're burning through the excess already through land and through other cards that might come in the future. So we don't really need this. But I don't know. I would still make the argument that having that available would be something that would be, again, maybe not required, but a nice to have, an ideal. Because here's the thing: as we look forward to the mini set and all these other cards that might get added into the mix, you never know when we could run into a situation where we get an oversupply of cards once again, right? And I think that the team has learned their lesson. And I do think that they are in a position where they pivot very quickly, which is something that, was difficult for them to do in the past. So I don't know that we're going to have that problem as much. The biggest argument against this that I can hear, once again, is going to be, well, now you're removing places to burn DEC and you're replacing that with cards. And again, my counter argument for that is, yes, I understand we're not giving people the chance to burn DEC, or we would reduce potential DEC, but okay, hold on. I'm getting myself mixed up with this, and I know I'm going to confuse you. We are not giving the chance for people to burn DEC. But what we are also doing is taking potential DEC from hitting the marketplace if things were to get really bad. Not only that, the second order effect is that you start to reduce the card supply in a way where it is not inflationary to DEC. It becomes inflationary to Cinder, which is fine because that's like account based, it's not tradable, and Cinder, Cinder, hopefully the team will continue to provide value in ways in which Cinder can be used, but it's not, to me, it totally makes sense to go down this route for the future, because then you're kind of protecting both. And like I said, the second order benefit of that is that we're actually reducing card supply. And so this is where I tie in the whole survival mode thing too, where it's like, well, I mean, survival mode is or was created to deal with all the extra cards that people have. So in a way, you're making the cards that people have for survival mode even more valuable, because you're giving away for, the cards that would have normally come in because they're either, below burn value or whatever the case is. All of those start to disappear. And survival mode matches, while I know we don't want there to be any kind of match liquidity issues, but survival mode matches then become a little bit more competitive, and you don't have all these bots that are trying to just come in and farm the system. I know that survival mode is going to get its own, its own kind of like tiering system and all that in the future. So again, maybe that point is moot. But in general, just taking this back and closing off on this point, I do think that offering Cinder as an option for the wild permit could do a lot on the downside protection for card values, especially against burn value, because again, that's just tied, and correlated to DEC. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully this wasn't too confusing, but that is all I have for you guys in this video. I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.